Welcome to En Route to Success, where we have raw, vulnerable conversations between Fitz DeSanto, Sam Boyer, and many talented individuals, unraveling the truths and principles of people's experiences, methods to grow, and discovering how to live a fulfilling lifestyle. Buckle up, the journey begins now. One, action.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our avid listeners. How are you guys doing? Sam, how are you?
Fitz, I am doing well as always. Definitely welcome to all our listeners. I know you always welcome. You're good at that. I got to remember people actually listen to us. So welcome to all the listeners as well.
Hey, happy St. Patty's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you as well.
Yeah, I mean, to our listeners, do we have a drink with us right now or we don't? We'll see. We'll find out.
We'll have to gauge that based off on, how we talk. We'll see what they say.
I know. So you guys give us feedback, as you know. Anyways, we are very excited with this topic because Sam and I share this passion, and we're going to talk about intention. And it's a very good topic because it's something that really what resonates to a lot of people, and we're going to talk about the meaning of it, and we'll have some examples, and to really our intention is for you guys to get some light through this episode. See what I did there, Sam?
I see the pun you made.
But Sam, do you have anything else that you'd like to share to our listeners about this episode and how you feel about it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we're going to do today is just have a discussion, like you said. And, we usually plan things out just on our own terms a little bit, but I think today we want it to be pretty conversational, as we usually are. But I think the biggest thing is just that this is something I've really worked on living my life with, is living it with intention. And it has taken me time to kind of understand what that is and how it ties into my purpose. So I'm kind of excited to talk about it and hear your perspective too, because I know we're both so aligned without even talking about it beforehand, which I can verify that we did not. Yeah. I'm really excited to get your perspective as well.
Yeah, I'm smiling already because every time you're talking, even at least one word, I'll hear it. I was like, yep, I agree. In my head, I'm like, I agree, but on what I've seen, I will touch what the dictionary says, which we've always said it's always weak, right? The meaning of intention that we saw, it just says a thing intended, an aim or plan. And again, I think we could agree that we both disagree with that.
It's a little weak. It's
not little, it's weak. I will say it. But okay, so for me, I really like one of these podcasts that Gary Zuckov says an intention rules every outcome. And an intention is a quality of consciousness that you bring to a deed or words. So that, to me, is so powerful. Like, I see you smiling, Sam, because I could feel when I say that it's a great validation that what it actually is. And my own spin to that is an intention is an emotion that changes your approach on everything. Let me take this a little bit farther, and then after that, I'm done. It's also it's also the energy that we put out in the world on what type of energy we wanted to get back. And we'll dive into that more a lot later on. But to me, those description and how Gary Zuckov really said that was so powerful. And I was just like, this is really a great description, really, of what an intention is.
I should have just listened to Gary Zuckov as well. That's crazy because my personal definition was an expected outcome of a situation based on a reason.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
like the reason that you choose or the reason you have for doing anything is so that there's some form of an expected outcome to any situation. And that was literally my thought process. I felt like that took it to a whole other level, what you just shared.
No, I mean, and what you said is really aligning with his description. But I would say that, when I know we could both agree to it, that it's so bold. Like Gary Zukov, just both from our explanation, he just took it to a different level and kind of just molded it to like this description that really makes you feel validated on what an actual intention is,
100%. Yeah.
And
When you have that sense of clarity as to what it is, then you can actually use it really effectively in your own life. And that's beyond powerful, which is exactly what you said.
yeah, and one of the things that I also see in an intention, I'm gonna do a twist a little bit with this. So there's thing called out tension, and there's also intention. So for me, the way I look at that, if I say, hey, Sam, I want a bigger home, that's an out tension because I want more space. But what is the why beneath the why? Like, what is the bedrock intention? So for me, I want a bigger home because I want to support my family. I want to have more space because the space is a lot smaller now. I want to send my kids to a good school. It's the consciousness behind that motivation, So a great example would say, I want to make more money. I mean, everyone wants to make more money, right? But that's the out tension. But what is the real intention of you wanting to make more money, right? So what is your truest intention? What's your thought on that?
Wow. You literally summed up my thought process in such a succinct way. I almost don't even want to speak.
No. We love your voice, Sam.
That's for everyone that knows, that's all I have to offer. But so that is so important that you said that, because taking it more to a personal level is having an intention, or knowing what your intention is so important, because if you don't, a lot of those things could fall to being what you described. And I'm going to start using that now, is out tensions, like superficial or with no real, like you said, bedrock or reason or foundation behind them.
It's a surface.
It's very surface level. And I think for a lot of people, they struggle to get to the intention of why they're doing things, and living that way without having some type of intention it can be confusing almost, because you really, maybe you don't know why you're doing a lot of things, or what the purpose behind them is. So that's so deep. I don't think people realize. If you didn't catch how deep that was, rewind like 30 seconds and re-listen to Fitz and his philosophies. But that was incredible, the way you just stated that.
Thank you. Here's another example. Why do we work out, Sam? Let's
name some reasons.
What's the out tension of someone working out?
Looking good.
Like, to look good, right? And I want to feel good. Let's talk about the intention. What's the why beneath the why of why do you work out?
Longevity.
Exactly.
Being healthy.
For me, longevity, and also an investment for yourself on a longer life, right? So that's the difference between out tension versus intention. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, of course, I want to look good. I want to feel good. At the same time, the intention is a lot deeper than what it actually is from what you're actually doing.
Yes. And I think that real motivation and inspiration comes from the intention versus short-term like hype, or short-term motivation comes from that out tension. Because like if your only reason is to, and maybe it's enough for some people, right? Because maybe someone's out intention could be someone else's intention. But
Mhm.
for most people, if they're not deeply rooted in why they're doing something, it quickly goes away and it's a fad. It's a small thing that they do for a little bit and then give up. Like
Mhm.
classic New Year's resolution, right? Go to the gym. How many people are there after like February? It's
How
done.
about now? Yeah, exactly.
So it's that same concept. And I think, yeah, you just described it so well that it's really important to realize what those intentions versus out intentions are, because they're both related. And if you have a strong intention, it can compound and add even more motivation to the byproduct of having that out intention.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I love how you said that. It's very eloquent. And do you have I was just gonna ask you, in a way, I know we prepared some examples for our
Mhm.
listeners. So for me, that was mine, like the bigger home and working out. Um, I'd give you the floor, Mr. Boyer,
Does
as
this mean you want to
your
hear some
example.
examples?
Yes,
So
grab your drink.
one, buckle up. I think the example that I want to share for one is that maybe a lot of people do or don't know. People that are close to me, they know this, but I chose to study mechanical engineering in college, and that was an intentional decision based on the outcome of a couple things. Like one, I knew financially engineers, from what I could understand, did pretty well. I could understand and learn how things work. I could create things. I could potentially solve problems for society or for people or for companies. So the intentions behind it were pretty strong, in knowing that I'd have a quote unquote like solid future, whatever that means to anyone.
Mhm.
And during like my third year of college, like it got really difficult for me. Like it was the first time, like after when I transferred to university. I mean, in middle school, high school, I was a very, either straight A or like B to A student without really putting in a ton of effort, maybe obviously doing my homework and stuff like that. But like it came naturally to me because my motivation was I wanted to play sports. And that was the trade-off I had to make. When I got to, my third year of college, that's when like I actually got like my first couple like really bad grades. And
Mhm.
so I had a decision to make, like, do I switch majors? Do I stick with this? And I thought back to, not knowing that it was like an intention at the time, but I thought back to, why did I decide to pick this degree, this major? And that reason of like wanting to help people and then potentially, maybe invent things or what, understand how things work. That was all of those reasons were enough to like fuel my intention to like push through what ended up being a lot of really freaking hard work for me to get my degree.
Mhm.
So the out tension, I guess, of this like fantasy of like living a lavish lifestyle is what I, thought an engineer could potentially live, was one part of it. But the intention was, I think, deeper rooted for me, of like really wanting to learn like how things work. And I really thought that specifically mechanical engineering for me was the reason that was going to happen. So that's one real example for me. And another one I think that I always go back to is like why I dedicated so many years to playing ice hockey. Like, of course it was fun. And I had this dream of like wanting to go to the NHL and like, be a professional athlete, all those sorts of things. But looking back, like I gave up a lot of things that other people didn't, just to commit to the level that I was playing at. And I didn't play at the absolute highest level, obviously, because we may be having a different discussion if that was the case. But with that being said, my intention was always to give my best effort with the skills and the talent and the energy that I had at every practice, at every game. And I felt that I was able to see that through because the intention was strong behind it. So those are kind of my two examples that I really feel, for me, that the outcome was strong, even though I didn't achieve being a professional athlete to one, go as far as I could, see myself going in hockey so I could have crazy fun and like a career that's very unique and have money to support charities and do things at a different level than maybe some people do. But, I did see it through to its end. So that was my intention there. But what do you think of those examples? I'll give it back to you, Fitz.
Yeah, no, I think I want to touch base on what you're getting at and take you a little farther. I believe what you're trying to say too is that the intention you have during that time is what really pushes you through. And I want to preface that and I want to highlight that how powerful intentions are when you put your mind to it. And it goes back to the same meaning we had with Gary Zuckov, that intention rules every outcome, because with that type of intention you have in your heart, you have that outcome to attain on how you were successful in one, playing sports, and getting that education and degree on how you wanted it to be. And I'm pretty sure you've outlined it, right? On how you wanted it to look like. You have it in your heart and in your mind on how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you build up a vision, a picture, a dream, a mindset, whatever word you want to use of what your life could look like or will look like if your intentions continue down this path.
Absolutely. And this is also goes back and validates that the energy that we give back to the world is also what you receive in the long run. And I want to turn this into our listeners, right? If you want more love in your life, set your intention to love even the smallest thing that you could see or possibly touch or feel. If you seek kindness, practice more empathy out there towards others, right? Because it always comes back tenfold, right? And I know one of the things I have here, but I might be ruffling some feathers here, but I'm gonna say it anyways.
Ruffle some feathers, Fitz. Do it.
I have one of the things here that I thought about. If you ever wonder why there's so many angry people around you, look no further, but dig in your heart if you have any resentment at all, because that might be the reason. And obviously, I am not a professional therapist, but at the same time, for me, is what I have actually seen for myself. A lot of times when I'm around angry people, I see that I have that resentment in me, even if it's just a little bit, it's still there. And I know that that's what I'm getting back because I never let it go. But once I let it go and have no expectations from other people, that's when I really can say that I'm living wholeheartedly. And of course, it's an ongoing development and growth, but at the same time I try my hard and the best I can to do it.
You do, and I feel that because of every conversation that we have and how you conduct yourself in daily life and how you interact with people. Like I've seen you do that in person as well as over social media. So there's an integrity behind that statement that I hope people that know you and listen to this, they definitely know, but if anyone's hearing this for the first time, I can myself validate that that's the truth.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And so do you, Sam. I think both of us, that's probably why we gel together, is because our intention towards others is always been good intentions onto their best interests. And that's probably why we are aligned and around with everybody that that's probably why we're around with good people with, like I always say, you attract who you are, right? So, and I love that because it goes on through a whole universal way with the energy, with the type of person you are, and the people around you, including environment. So
I'm going to speak directly to the listeners for a second and say sometimes it's really annoying how Fitz takes the words out of my brain and says them before I get to say them.
Hey, likewise.
My next statement, my follow-up statement was going to be you attract what and who you are into your life. And so the fact that you said that is just, it's true, because I mean, that's why we decided to even do a podcast, right? Because we align on the same goals. But there's so much weight that carries, because going back to your point of if you have a lot of positivity or negativity in your life, look no further than what it is that you're putting out into the world. And it doesn't mean that there's exceptions, that if you're super positive, you're not going to experience negative, or vice versa.
Of course.
That it's not that hard set of a rule, but the point behind it is you have the ability, and we all have the ability, to change our lives based on what we're outputting into the universe. So I think that's a really important thing to realize, that I think that's kind of what you were getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a sneak peek, you guys, listen to our gratitude episode, because that's my marketing buddy.
The sales and marketing guy is coming out.
But no, I mean, before we wind down, Sam, do you have any other areas you want to speak to in relates to intention, before we tell our listeners what's really in our heart and close it out?
I really think that, honestly, I feel we covered a lot, because I know this is one we could probably have gone on for a long time if we didn't watch ourselves. But
I know.
The more that I've learned to live my life with intention, it's actually yielded more of the results that I want, as well as given me a lot more freedom in my own life. And I used to think that the thought process behind having intentions to my actions was going to be more work than what it was worth. And I have found the exact opposite to be true. So if there's any hope or benefit, I guess, behind setting intentions in your own life, if you haven't set them before, or you've never given this any thought, give it a try for like a week, and just see the difference in your mood and the results of any goals that you're working to accomplish with that intention behind them, because that's what's really been a difference for me. And I think that that's really what's on my heart and that I want people to feel. And so I'll let you finish with what's on your heart, Fitz. I'm curious.
No, I'm smiling while you were saying all that, because again, it's not annoying, but it's a gift that we both can read in our mind. See what I did there? No, but for me, I love all that you said, Sam, and I'm going to echo everything that you said, because it is true, and I'm going to build that on my closing. For me, to all our listeners out there, all I ask is that please look at the opportunity of life not as a burden, but really a precious gift that we were given. And if you set your truest intention from day one, personally, I've seen the difference. Here's another thing too, and Sam can agree to this because he have seen me in action doing this. Before agreeing to something to add to your life, whether it will be big or small, ask yourself, what is your truest intention? Pray on it, meditate, give it to the universe, give it time, hand it to the universe, to your higher power. When your intention is right and the answer is yes, I promise you, your whole body will feel it and you can sense it agreeing with you. That's for me, because that's really what's coming from my heart. And I know, Sam, you've seen me do this, because I'm like, Sam, I can't start the podcast. I just got a puppy. Like, I just can't do it, So like things like that, because the intention is there, and the quality of the intention that I'm setting to do the podcast with you and I, Sam, is the same thing, right? The intention is to reach people, but the intention is really to make a difference in people's lives.
100%. The energy that you get from your intention aligning with your values and having that filter that you make decisions with, and taking the time to see, is this something I should add or subtract from my life? Having all of that align gives you so much more, almost like free energy that comes from a passion that you have within yourself. And I've seen that in you, because for people that know Fitz, everyone knows that you are literally a super high energy, super high vibrational, high frequency operating individual. Like, everyone knows that
Thank you. Not all the time.
you bring energy into a room. And so if something is decided upon in your life, it's only adding to that energy instead of subtracting from it, which I think a lot of people fall into, overcomplicating their lives and draining themselves, as opposed to picking those several things that they can really commit to and be fully involved and passionate with, and getting that free energy that I think you emulate so radiantly. But yeah, I would definitely agree with everything that you said.
Thank you, Sam, and likewise to you too, right? I think for everybody that knows Sam, I mean, everybody wants to hang out with Sam because he's this guy that just genuine and very won't give you BS. So that's what I like about you, and what we've I'm really glad that we're doing this podcast because our intention has been true from day one. So
100%. And I will give BS just to keep you on your toes, but that's just that's a different.
Well, that too. But I mean, all right. I mean, in closing it out, Sam, I'll give you the opportunity to let our listeners know where they could contact us.
Yes, absolutely. So if you haven't heard already, we have multiple social media platforms that you can follow us on for content, and definitely reach out to us directly. But that would be at En Route to Success 365 on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Pinterest. And individually at Fitz DeSanto or Sam Boyer on LinkedIn. And then directly at Alohafitzsam at gmail.com for any very direct requests or immediate way to contact us.
Says it like a real DJ. So we always end our episode with, I was about to say therapy. Our episode our episode was the things we're grateful for. Sam, what are you grateful for today?
I was going to say grateful for our therapy sessions. We joke because afterwards we feel so much better because we've had a discussion about topics that we're passionate on. But I think that I really am grateful for finding out the law of attraction, or what we discussed with, attracting who and what you are into your life. As I've leaned into that, like, I've met people like yourself, and I feel so blessed for those people in my life that just continue to add to it as opposed to detract from it. So I'm really grateful for the people in my life and understanding that concept that I've learned to use.
Absolutely. It's funny because that's actually what I have on my notes that I'm grateful for.
You gotta be kidding me.
I know, this is so bad. For me, my whole notes just says the people in the life that I'm grateful for in relates to communication. So in a way, like the networking, the LinkedIn, and people that actually opens up. I mean, our Instagram, shout out to online meditation people because they have been so supportive from day one and they didn't even know who I was, right? So, but they've seen the intention, they've seen who we are, and they're really been supportive from day one. So, yeah, that's it for me today. And, as always, guys, we always have our outro. Even small victory is worth to be grateful for. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Take care.